These 5 books changed my life completely. And I guarantee you, if you watch to the end of the video and you read all 5 of these books, I guarantee you, if you take action on them, they will do the exact same for you. Now, I have 5 books on this list. I also have a 6th honorable mention. With that being said, I don't want to waste too much of y'all time. I just want to go ahead and hop into each of the books because they are what holds the value for this video. So with that being said, first and honestly most important on the list, I have Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, you guys, I want to tell you honestly and directly, this book completely changed my life. And if you feel like you're the type of person who struggles with discipline, who struggles with, just routine in general, then this book is completely for you. The main thing that this book talks about is how to form habits that are good for you and how to break habits that are horrible for you, right? That are terrible for you, that are stopping you from achieving the goals that you want to achieve or becoming the person that you want to become, right? Atomic Habits was so groundbreaking to me because it just changed the way that I completely saw the world, right? One of the main things that James Clear says in this book is that anything can become a habit, correct? Anything can become a habit, and that can be for the good or that can be for the bad. Let me give you an example. A bad habit that I used to have. I used to have a problem with smoking every single day, right? I truly smoked way too much, and I've since quit, and this book definitely helps me with that. And I'm not going to spoil, the tips and tricks that he gives to help you quit, those bad addictions or those bad habits. But I had a problem with smoking every single day, and that was the problem. I set up a chain of just every single day when I would get to this time of the day, when I would get bored, when these certain set of circumstances would come up, I would just feel the need to smoke. I would feel that itch. I would feel that cue to smoke. And reading this book, it just completely changed my life and my perspective on that, because this goes so much further than just good habits, setting good habits. It includes bad habits, right? But yeah, you guys, you can set any habit. You can make it a good habit by just repeatedly doing it over and over and over and over again, right? I forgot the exact number he said, but I believe he said it takes 66 or 67 days to form a habit, something around there, right? And yeah, it's groundbreaking. If you want to stop any of your horrible habits, or if you want to, set new habits for yourself, set new goals for yourself or a new routine, it'll completely change your life. I promise you. I think it's definitely worth a read, and I think it's the most important book on this list. With that being said, number 2, and this is the first book I really read when I got into my reading journey, right? That is Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. Now, if you are a masculine man, right, I want you guys, because there may be some ladies watching this as well, shout out to y'all, but I'm speaking specifically to the masculine men. If you're a masculine man and you're watching this video, then I feel like one of the main things you need to understand is the first chapter of this book. And it stood out to me so much. As soon as I read it, I just knew, like, hey, yeah, this book is going to be one of the ones, right? The very first chapter of this book, hold on, let me see if I can go to it really quickly for you guys. But the very first chapter of this book, it literally says, stop hoping for a completion of anything. Hold on. And I'm not lying, y'all, because I still ain't got to the first. This is the introduction. I still ain't got there yet, and I quoted it directly. Hold on. Part 1, A Man's Way. Boom. Y'all see all the highlighting, right? Stop hoping for a completion of anything in life, right? And I'll read the little short paragraph for you guys just to give you guys a little bit and piece of, what he's talking about in this chapter. It says, stop hoping for a completion of anything in life. Most men make the error of thinking that one day it will all be done. They think if I can work enough, then one day I can rest. Or one day my woman will understand everything and she'll stop complaining. Or I'm only doing this now so that one day I can do what I really want with my life. The masculine error is to think that eventually things will be different in some fundamental way. I want to read that part again. The masculine error is to think that eventually things will be different in some fundamental way. I'm sorry. They won't. It never ends. As long as life continues, the creative challenge is to tussle, play, and make love with the present moment while giving your unique gift. Now, you guys, this chapter spoke so much to me because I feel like I was the type of person who always felt like, hey, yeah, I'm just doing this for the moment, right? I'm just doing this until I can really, like I said in the book, until I can really do what I want to do with my life. And reading that chapter, it just completely just blew my mind because I realized I was approaching life as a masculine man the wrong way. When you are a masculine man, our goal, our reason for being here is purpose. Our reason for being here is work. Our reason for being here is grinding, hustling, getting to it every single day. And the moment that you stop, you may think, hey, I'm going to get rich and I'm going to just stop working. I'm going to go on vacation on a beach. You know, that dream that they sell to us all the time, right? Like, hey, you get enough money, you get rich, you can go and vacation on a beach. Let me tell you guys something. There has been so many people who have made the amounts of money that you want to make that have gotten to that point where they can finally chill and relax. And they have come out and said, it's just not as glorious as you guys think it is. Like, it's not as amazing as you're hoping in your head. The masculine error is thinking that one day it'll all be over. It'll all be done. You guys need to understand that the moment you stop working completely will be the moment you feel the most empty as a man. You need to, like they said, tussle, play, and give your unique gift every single day and stop hoping for it to end, right? And that was just one of the most groundbreaking chapters for me because I realized that, hey, I've been approaching everything the wrong way. As a man, our purpose is to get up, hustle, grind, get to it. The Bible literally says, the soul of a lazy man desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made rich. That is Proverbs 13:4, if you guys wanted to go and read more on that. But the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is as a man, we weren't programmed to sit around. We weren't programmed to just be lazy and not work. We were put on this earth to provide, to protect, and to work, to hustle, to grind, to get to it every single day. And that was one of the main things that stood out to me from that first chapter. And this entire book has gems exactly like that. So I definitely suggest it. And if not for Atomic Habits, I'd say this may be the most important book on the list. All right, for number 3, I have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Now, this book deals with a lot of stoicism, if you know what I'm saying, if you know what that is. But one of the main takeaways that I had from this book is just a philosophy change, right? This book is about a Roman emperor, right? This was his personal journal from when he was running the entirety of Rome and, he was the ruler of everything, right? This was his personal journal and it was never supposed to be released, right? But somehow it ended up being released after he died anyways, right? But one of the main themes, right, in this book is saying, hey, you're going to have circumstances that you don't want. You're going to have to deal with the circumstances of the world. You're going to have to deal with circumstances of other people, other things that you don't want to deal with. But you need to realize that you won't die. At the end of the day, you will not die. And the only thing that changes how you feel about a situation is how you react to it, right? The worst thing in the world can happen to you, but depending on your attitude towards it, you could take, it's the whole glass half full, glass half empty thing. It depends on how you look at it, right? The worst thing in the world can happen to you, and you can look at it as like, hey, okay, that's a blessing, lesson learned, right? The best thing in the world can happen to you, and you can look at it as like, hey, I'm not even deserving of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why did this happen? Everything in life is about perspective, and I feel like that is one of the main takeaways that I took from this book. You know what I'm saying? All of these are the main takeaways that I've taken from these books, but I definitely suggest reading them yourselves and, you know what I'm saying, formulating your own opinion on it. But one of the main takeaways of this book is it's all about perspective, you guys. Nothing is inherently bad. Nothing is inherently good. You know what I'm saying? And to think that is kind of selfish in a way, because good things happen to everyone. Good things happen to, bad things happen to everyone. So it's just like, it's not personal. Life picks on everybody in certain times, right? And yeah, I just feel like that was huge to me. Number 4 on this list of books that will change your life, I have Viktor E. Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Now, I want to give a disclaimer on this book, you guys. It's very detailed. It's very vivid, right? If you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, right? In World War II, when the Nazis were taking over and, you know, they were persecuting all the Jews and, you know, they were doing all of that stuff, right? Viktor Frankl, he was in one of the concentration camps. So he had a first-person view and account of everything that was going on, from starving to cannibalism to like every single thing that was going to people being gassed, your families being taken from you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was horrible. So I want to give that disclaimer for anyone that wants to read this book. It hits you hard, right? But it also lets you know that there is no situation that you cannot personally overcome. A man with purpose has every reason to continue to live. One of the main themes from this book that he continued to say was people that had given up on life and didn't mind death, right, in the concentration camps, were the people who didn't have a reason to live anymore. They didn't have a purpose for living, right? But I think the quote that he said was, a man that has a why for living can suffer through any how. And that was just one of the most powerful quotes to me that I had ever heard in my life, you guys. So I definitely suggest this book as well. Last but not least, you guys, we have How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, this is, I believe, the second book that I read when I began my reading journey. As you guys can see all the highlights and everything. But this book is basically just like a book about success, right? It's a book about people skills. It's a book about, you know, how to deal with people, basically, essentially. It gives you like little tips and tricks of things that, you know, make people like you more. It gives you tips and tricks of things that make people dislike you more. It gives tips and tricks of how to persuade, how to get people to do what you want. You know what I'm saying? It's all of those little things, right? Like simple things like smile every time you see somebody. Speak with their name, because people love hearing their name more than they love hearing anything else in the world, right? If you address someone like, hey, blank, you know what I'm saying, using their name, they're a lot more likely to take a liking to you. It's all, it's all a psychology thing, but you would have to read this book to understand more what I'm talking about. But definitely suggest this book for anyone that wants to get into business, anyone that wants to deal with people or is already in a job that you're going to be dealing with people a lot. And last but not least, man, I wanted to give you guys the honorable mention, and that is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, right? Excuse me, this cover is a little torn up. But this book basically talks about all of the different things and circumstances that have to come together to create an outlier, right? I think that he gave an example about hockey, right? Like it's a weird coincidence that majority of NHL professional hockey players were born around the same time, right? I think it was like 80-90% of them were born in the same month. I believe it was like November or something, right? And it was because if you were born in November, that was around the time that, tryouts and everything began. Or I don't want to quote the exact thing, but there were a lot of circumstances that had to come together to create, the outlier, the person that ends up being successful. And I just honestly feel like this book is extremely insightful. It gives you a lot of perspective on comparison, and it gives you a lot of perspective on just exactly the amount of effort and luck that goes into you becoming successful, right? So I definitely feel like if you're into success stories and, figuring out why they got there, then this will be a great book for you. But yeah, guys, that'll wrap it up. Those are all 5 plus the honorable mention of books that I would definitely suggest that personally changed my life. And I feel like if you read them and you give them a good deep dive, that it will definitely have the same benefit on you as well. Forgive me if I didn't know, exact details from these books. I haven't read these books in a long time. Like, I read this back when I was in college. That was like 2-3 years ago, right? And all of these other books like this, I read this one immediately after. I read this one immediately after. So forgive me if, some of the details are slipping my mind, but as you guys can tell, they're all highlighted and everything. I'm not lying. I read all of these books, and I have plenty more. And I feel like reading is a skill that a lot of people should take more time to develop. So with that being said, man, I definitely think give these books a try and see what they do for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in another one.